I, Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, hereby command that you do not listen or subscribe to the Dragon Ball 4 Life podcast. Whatever you do, would you defy royalty? No! Bye!
May we have your attention, please, and welcome to another episode of Dragon Ball 4 Life, where you come for the content, but you stay for the culture. You know who we are. The Fusion Dance Dons, aka the Mong Gods. Broji, the Prince of all Saints, Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Matty Ice, here with the Oob to my Majin Buu, my counterpart, my Den Day One, going from the lookout to the cookout, Mr. Troto Trav. But enough about us. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's Dragoncall time. And we have a very special guest. Not only is he a very special guest, but he managed to take this Dragoncall on his moviebob.com. Some would call him Regal Cinemas, or say that he knows everything about the ABCs of the AMCs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to invite a very special guest, movie reviewer extraordinaire, Movie Bob. Snaps all around, snaps all around, snaps all around. How are you today, good sir?
I am very well, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And if you want to, like clip that soundbite and use that for intros in your future references, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Fantastic. Awesome.
But Bob, like you just kind of referenced in you being here, it took a lot for us to get here. There was a lot of back and forth between your team, our team, just to get you here. But we made it, and we're super duper happy. And I can say for myself, I would consider myself a bit of a cinephile. A movie snob amongst my close friends. So I'm very happy to have you on here and what you do, because it's like me and Trav, we have friends who do music, and we say all the time, like when we sit in on their studio sessions, it's kind of like real mathematical and scientific the way that they kind of like look at music, when me and Trav are just kind of like enjoyers of the art. And that's kind of me with film. Like how I talk about movies, my friends are just like, I don't really see it that way. So I'm excited to have a fellow movie enthusiast with us. But typically what me and Trav like to do at the start of the interview is just so kind of the fans can kind of like get a temp check on how you got to where you are. How did Movie Bob become Movie Bob? Was movie reviewing always what you knew you wanted to do? How did you stumble into this craft?
I was a film student. Student of popular culture, film, etc. I wanted to be still the aim and goal is to work in the film industry. Independent film production is something that I also have going on. It's a little bit stifled at the moment because of everything else, but moviebob Productions is also the name of the production company. Was working in that regard with some friends here in Massachusetts. I'm in Boston. Okay. And got pretty much fell into film reviewing. This sounds like a made-up story, but I was working in I was working in a Blockbuster.
Ooh, throwback!
When that existed. And
one out.
Yeah. And got basically hired to do a cable access show along with some other people to be. Basically, they needed a resident expert, so they thought they'd hired someone from a video store. At the time, I had graduated from college. They didn't have a film department at the college, but they had a film track in the media department. So I did that show for a while. It was the show didn't end on super great terms for other reasons, but that said, okay, so I can do this for a living. Went into the video production side of it from working on that show, posting to YouTube when that became a thing. Got into games media because film media on YouTube early wasn't really taking off. Shortly thereafter, games kind of popped before film did as online video. That went well, hooked up with Screw Attack. Went into a magazine that is still around in a new form called The Escapist, hired me to be their resident film critic. When that was just starting off, had a run with them. That's where like the Movie Bob nickname came in. Movie Bob, my full name is Bob Chipman, by the way. That's Robert Louis Chipman, full name.
There you go.
But
gotta get the full government in there.
You know?
Yeah. But moviebob there's no story behind that name other than it was the name that I kind of started just putting on stuff online, and you can't change it because now it's on everything. So now that's the name of the company and that's the name of everything. So it was what I was using as a locker code and stuff in high school, and now it's the brand of the company for the rest of my life.
There you go.
So yeah,
so it all came full circle.
Good thing I wasn't using a joke or something, but it is what it is. And so that's I was with the Escapists, I was with a few other websites, and now it's mostly independent. Went back there for a while to get to work with it again, get my copyrights back. Now it's an independent channel. I'm with the Boston Online Film Critics Association as well, here in Boston. That's the local film critics association. I'm accredited to Rotten Tomatoes.
Hey.
I don't. I feel some type of way about review aggregates, but it's one way to get out there. I've been in a couple national publications, but mostly working independently right now as a reviewer and trying to get the production side off the ground because I don't dislike reviewing, but being a film critic, I guess that's the long answer to a short question, was not what I started out aiming for, but it is paying the bills right now.
There you go.
And since you have to produce on your own and get it on your own, it has kept the editing skills moderately up to speed and kept me up with the production side. So that's decent, and it's also film reporting. And I'm now also freelance writing and freelance writing and researching for Theorist Media, Matthew Patrick's site on channel on YouTube. So I'm freelancing for film theory, game theory, food theory, and style theory. Which is a tremendous group of people, very talented, great team, putting out great content, and very honored to have been invited to work there because there's a shrinking amount of work out there for freelance writers that is actually with people that I'd want to work with. In online video, it's kind of a hellscape of. I've been burned a few times, but they're working with great people right now, and I'm very glad to be there.
That's definitely the goal.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I just wanted to, in what you were talking about your background, you had mentioned that you got your copyrights back and then you fully moved on to becoming an independent company. How long did that process take, and what were some of the roadblocks that you hit trying to, go from working for a production company to then becoming fully independent on your own?
Well, unfortunately, there wasn't really a roadmap to do it. Mm-hmm. So, I'm 42. So when I was getting in on this, the early version of internet video, we were basically making it up as we went along. Mm-hmm. I only mentioned myself alongside this era of people because we started around the same time. I'm not operating at this level. I only worked, in passing with LIUs. But my stuff started coming out around a lot of the same time as the Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe. I started out around the same time that Yahtzee Croshaw did at The Escapist. We went in at the same time. We all had to make this up as we were going along. And there was not a lot of guide for, hey, you should get an agent when you start out on this. You should have a producer when you get started on these things. And when you see the crack up of early online video companies, where it's like, hey, Smosh is going to be this huge thing and it's going to work out. Or Channel Awesome popped and it was going to be this big independent operation out, just run by two guys. And wow, look at that. And there are people who made it and people who didn't. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of stories that didn't deserve to end badly.
Yeah.
And what happened with me was I basically made some deals with some people that I'm glad I did, and I made a lot of other deals with people that I'm not glad that I did. And I'm not going to, try to burn any bridges. Mm-hmm. But I was with the Escapists for a while. Then I wasn't. And I worked before them. I worked with guys at Screw Attack, which was started up I believe Craig Skostima still owns Screw Attack, or at least is still involved in the ownership of it. Very good guy. And the site gave me a start with a show called Game Over Thinker. That was an independent show on YouTube. Then stayed with that for a while. Went to them after The Escapist, then went back and forth on those. The main idea was that I didn't own any of my own stuff because I had done it for contract. So when I went back to The Escapist the second time, when that contract was up, it was to get all of my stuff back. It's like, yeah, I want my original content, the name of the stuff that I had created, and now there's still some stuff that I produced for a few other sites that were owned by like bigger companies like Ziff Davis, NBC, and whatnot that I still don't get to run the past versions of, but it gets worked out. And now when people ask advice about it, don't sign away stuff that you think you might want later, because you never know. It might come back up, because you don't know what's going to last. Mm-hmm. And I've got my name, I've got my relative health, but it has been a journey. I'll say, and I know that sounds rambling, and it's
no, please.
I've told this story a few times, and the fact of it is because we were making it up as we went along for what the rules were of this. Like right now, even in the professional side of things, there are people working on $1 million Netflix shows and whatnot who are going to make less money in their residuals for the rest of their lives than they would have made if they worked on cheaper shows back in the day on regular TV, because the contracts were signed differently for regular TV because Netflix counts as the internet. And when they made the contracts for Netflix or whatnot, it was like, oh, the internet, well, who's ever going to want to watch TV on a postage stamp size video the size of your screen on your when they wrote all the contracts for what a scriptwriter's residuals were or a grip's residuals were in actual Hollywood right now, there was no video on phones. So what's your residual for a digital show? Not much. And now that's everything. And conveniently, the studios are moving to get rid of terrestrial TV and cable and move everything over to streaming, where there's no residuals. And you wonder why they want to turn everything into a streaming show.
Yeah,
that might be why. And that's the thing that we're all stuck in now. Well, that on my end, I'm stuck in. Mm-hmm. So that's what it's been like. And now I have my stuff back, but it has been an issue, and I'm glad I did stuff on my own and that I charted my own path. But it would have been great if there had been a few people who weren't looking out for only themselves, and that were able to look at, because when I was getting in, I was getting out of college. Yeah. At least I was sort of a grown-up person who had worked in the private sector, who'd had regular jobs and had dealt with management. Now people come out of high school and have 1 million followers and are already getting courted to be brands and have people who's like, no, sign up with us. You don't need an agent. You already know what you're doing. You already know what you do. You've been selling your whole life. You're already an influencer, kid. Come on, you don't need this. And
shout out to Barstool.
It's unfortunately we've got a dozen. There's not another Elvis yet, but there's 1 million Colonel Toms. Mm-hmm. And that's very dangerous, and I feel very bad for a lot of young creators right now who are going to have that happen to them, and they are not even going to have the support system that Elvis had. Mm-hmm. And Elvis didn't survive it.
Right, absolutely.
He had everything.
That kind of I love hearing your knowledge on it, because it's I could tell that you're passionate for the craft, but I can also see that you have the business mind for it. Kind of going exactly, the Elvis reference is a perfect analogy. For somebody who's just getting started, especially because me and Trav have talked about it, maybe when you guys were starting, and we've had other voice actors were in the 90s, or like you were saying, there wasn't really anything prior to kind of based off of. There wasn't really like a foundation to stand off of. But because it was like new and not as oversaturated, you know, we had talked on the previous podcast, like back when Motown Records was a thing, you could like walk up to Motown and audition and possibly, you know, change your life, like literally physically, versus now, like it's next to impossible to get in touch with that person who can make that decision. So for somebody starting off in the oversaturation where like it might be easier to like get discovered because you can exposure's like paramount, would you say it's more important for someone starting off to like have a passion for it, like I eat, sleep, and breathe this medium, or to like have that mind state, like to learn the business first? Would you want the talent first or to learn the business first? If you had for like like one of those teenagers coming out the gate that might not have that direction.
I want to know the business first. And I know that sounds like a cynical answer, but
I respect it.
You know, the thing about talent is ephemeral. You know, like what is talent? I don't know if I have a shred of talent. You know, I was, shout out to former gifted kids, story of my Gen X late millennial life. But I was told for a lot of my young life that I had a lot of talent for, you know, oh, yeah, well, oh, you can draw, you can write, you can put the thing is, what I have found in this business, I can pay someone to write.
There you go.
Pay someone to draw.
Yeah.
Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks.
Yeah. What I wish is that I had spent a lot more time I wish that I had listened when people had told me, hey, you should really learn better how to manage your money. And I don't mean like how to, you know, like balance a checkbook or whatnot. No, they have programs for that. They have that. I wish that someone had been telling me how to not get taken advantage of.
That's important.
How to look out for when someone was scamming you, how to look out for when someone was, you know, just things that should be basic common sense that I now know should be basic common sense. And maybe this is just something that happens all the time. You know, like my point of reference is Elvis and Tom Parker. That was 3 generations before I was born. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and supposedly everyone was more rational back then because there was no Twitter scrambling your brain or whatnot. But, you know, I lived a lifetime before the internet existed. I was 17 before 1997, and I got like AOL for the first time to play around with the Nintendo Power website.
There you go.
But talent is good. And but if you don't have talent, you can learn skill is the thing.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
You know, this is, I mean, we're on the Dragon Ball podcast. You know, do you have, natural talent, or do you get in the hyperbaric time chamber and work on it? You know, do your push-ups, do your sit-ups, and work on it. There's, because there's both ways through it. You can be the natural born kung fu genius, or you can get good at it, because it takes both kinds. Some guys hit 1 million home runs. Some guys get a great on-base percentage. I would rather be the guy with the great on-base percentage.
I'm wearing the Sandlot shirt, actually. I love it. I love it.
Quick question that just popped into my head as you were talking about influencers and people that are just coming into the game. Are there any certain important details? So let's say someone is presented with a contract, and is there pieces of information that maybe you as a younger content creator wouldn't have picked up on, that now if you're going to any sort of business, you're like, all right, here are some essential pieces of information in a contract that I need to know, that I align with and that I agree upon, that maybe kind of bit you in the ass in the past, that or just something that you could bestow upon those who, all right, if you're going to get in this business,
you say, what are the splits?
Make sure you these things do not screw you over in the long run.
Depending on when you get in, find out what the average rate that other people in your field are being paid, if you can. Find out what the other people who are working around you are getting paid.
Always know more.
You have a. There's arguments as to whether or not you have a, there's do you have the ethical right to know? You should be able to find that out. Mm-hmm. Don't sign NDAs that seem like they're aggressive. Like non-disclosure agreements about when you're not supposed to disclose things.
Hey, we talked about those a lot on there.
Do not. If people are telling you, well, we'll try you out and pay you later, that. I feel different types of ways about the unpaid internship system.
Me too.
One of the reasons that I don't put out a lot of content that's not super elaborately produced is because I produce basically everything myself, unless I'm having friends and family or people that I can afford to pay work on the stuff with me, because I don't use unpaid interns. I could get them. I'm an alumni from a school that now does have a film program. I could or make an arrangement for them and get it. I don't like to use the unpaid intern system. I know some people do. I'm not going to tell them not to. To me, it feels like contributing to an abusive system that gets taken advantage of a lot. I've seen people get taken advantage of it a lot. I'm here in Massachusetts, in the shadow of Harvard and Emerson and all of it, and the UMass. Unpaid interns are like pigeons around here, especially in media programs, and people take a lot of advantage of them. I've had people who are of that type work with me, but I pay them. Don't get paid under the table if you can help it, because not necessarily because it's bad to do it, but because people who aren't, if you can't afford to set up a system to just write a legal paycheck, why? It's not that expensive to set up, unless you're like an actual family business, like operating out of your garage or something. It's not that expensive to set up. So if you're not, why don't you want the government to know I'm working with you?
Right.
That's usually a thing. And if you are creating anything that goes with you, that's like a brand, if you're doing video, if you're doing podcasts, if you're doing content creation, check your contract to see what you own and what they own when you're creating it for them. Because for a while, all of the stuff that's associated to do with my probably the most well-known show that I have that has branded stuff on it, to me, The Big Picture with moviebob and whatnot, I couldn't call a show The Big Picture for 3 years because The Escapist owned that. Now, granted, I didn't come up with the name. I made the name worth coming up with. Someone else who got paid to created the graphics that go with it, but I couldn't use those graphics to go with anything else. I had to have a whole other thing going on with it and have a whole other show. I can use those now. You can go onto my website, moviebobcentral.com, and find the link to the Redbubble store and get T-shirts and mugs and all kinds of branded stuff. If you'd like to have big picture merchandise around your house that celebrate the existence of a show that was very popular 4 years ago on The Escapist, and on YouTube now on moviebobcentral.com.
So we gotta put the URL right on.
You know it's coming. It's going to ticker tape across, ticker tape across the bottom.
The thing is, this doesn't come naturally to me because I am an older person. I literally feel like I graduated out of school exactly 6 months before this became something that everyone just gets taught.
Okay.
Yeah. And is now my grandmother is my mother, who is a grandmother, is talks about my nephew who is only just learning to read at 4 but can already use a tablet, like it's dark sorcery.
Yeah, facts.
And it's like, no, he's got the devil in him. It's oh god. But my version of that is the fact that young influencers just know instinctively how to edit, how to handle themselves and whatnot, and it's completely alien to me to be able to just be on like that. Like, I have to think about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And good on you. That's good. It'll probably keep you from making some of the mistakes that I did. The mistakes that I wouldn't make is get it in writing, and make sure that it reads as many times to you well as it can, because they have a whole team that is right. Anyone who's getting you a contract has a team writing that contract to be favorable to them. Make sure it's favorable to you. Read it over.
They try to get you with that jargon.
They're coming to you saying you are somehow valuable to us as money. Find out why, and be respectful of it yourself, because it's the movie was but like watch the Tom Hanks Elvis movie, because
I enjoyed
there's
it
a
quite
lesson.
A bit.
That dude was the biggest dude in the world, had everything, and still got grabbed by the wrong guy, and got the life drained out of him as it was happening.
Yeah,
and
the fact that Elvis never did a real world tour blows my mind, bro. That's so crazy. My man was pigeonholed in Vegas and still was one of the biggest artists of all time.
Yeah, a residency.
Yeah, more like a prison sentence, not even a residency.
And this is not secret knowledge. People have known this forever. This happens forever. Kesha, it happened to this happens now. We all sat and watched Britney Spears.
That conservatorship shit is scary, man. It's scary.
We had a woman that everyone knew was like a princess in a tower, being trotted out to be it blows my mind, and yet we watched it, and it happened, and it will happen again to these poor kids. Warner Brothers is going to play Harry Potter again.
I don't want to see that, bro. I'm cool with the sequel. I don't need it. Yo, matter of fact, we'll circle back because there's another question I want to ask you. But what's your with your insider movie Edge? It blows my mind. I understand the remake, the reboot, process and whatnot. It is so weird to me that now in the year 20th of 23, they reboot stuff that just came out 3 years ago. I could still go watch the original. I really enjoyed Girl with
considered a reboot.
That's what I'm saying. I remember I really enjoyed Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original one. They were all that. And then I remember they did the reboot with Daniel Craig 3 years after the original came out, retelling of a story. I was I could still go watch the other one and still be just as enthused.
It's still processing the original.
So it's I guess from your standpoint as someone who does movie reviews, what I feel a reboot is the purpose of a reboot is just to remind people of something that was really popular. Hey, this show from 20 years ago that had a great audience, let's expose it to a new generation. But they're rebooting shit in the same generation, the same pocket of people who remember the original vividly might still watch it on the occasion. So what? I know the short answer is money, but I guess from a content standpoint
right.
For a creative, why reboot stuff that just took place?
Because they, like you said, they don't want people to forget that it exists, and I think that they've now learned that they can basically. Once they, if
you build it, they will come.
Exactly. Once everything is impossible until someone does it, and I think that once, I don't know if this was the catalyst, but it was close to it. It used to be. Because this has always existed. None of this is right now we're living in the age of intellectual property, but this has happened before. Batman never went away, right. Really. To an extent, the 1989 Warner Brothers Batman movie is essentially the gritty, bigger. It's not even an adaptation of the comics. It is Warner Brothers, the movie version of their very successful Batman TV show from the 60s, which was the biggest thing they had on TV ever as a Warner Brothers TV thing that they ever leveraged out of their Batman DC Comics intellectual property, and that they eventually managed to turn into a big movie. And once they did, it didn't go away. Michael Keaton went away, and then they sort of started
he's
at
back.
The time, that was seen as a sequel, it was like, well, Batman Forever fames at being a sequel to the Michael Keaton movies, but now I think they would make that same movie and they would treat it as a reboot. And like say, oh no, this is a new origin story, this is a new background. I think there's one reference to Catwoman in Batman Forever, but like now that would be treated as like a whole thing, and they would mention continuity and whatnot. And then like the Christopher Nolan movies are definitely not sequels to those.
Right.
So it's a whole other thing. I think that now, once they were able to say to audiences in real time, because everyone knew that the Marvel thing was happening and was a running story that was going to go for until it stopped, that, well, the new Spider-Man didn't work. We tried, Tobey Maguire's not coming back as Spider-Man, so we're going to try it as Andrew Garfield. And then they tried it twice, and audiences went, no, we don't. I know it's been memory hold now, because everyone's like, no, we liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man because he was good in some other movies. And so we're all just going to pretend that worked, and that we were all like, we actually liked him, and those movies were like, no. The audiences took one look at those movies and went, no, we don't want this.
He was a great Spider-Man. He was a terrible Peter Parker. Like when he was skateboarding to school, I was like, that don't check out.
You couldn't envision that?
Nah, bro, he was too cool, bro. He's not a nerd at all.
He's worse than too cool. He wasn't even a real version of cool. He was like that movie came out in the Amazing Spider-Man movies came out in like 2012. And he was like a 1998 version of what cool would be.
Definitely was.
So he's like
the Fonz. He was the Fonz.
He's like a 40-year-old man, like disguised as it's bizarre. But those movies came out, and audiences disliked them, so they've already tried and failed to reboot it twice, and then immediately pivoted to, on the same timeline that it would normally be, hey, here's the third Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. No, here's another Spider-Man again. And now we're not even bothering with an origin. We're just going. We're just going to keep going. And now they can do that. And they've realized that now you don't need a complicated way to reboot to continue. They the word reboot was never even used before. I apologize for the dogs in the background, by the way. That's just the neighborhood.
I understand.
I was about to say Trav knows.
The word reboot I never heard used for anything other than the most extreme version of like comic book or video game continuity. And now it's used all the time. People would say, no, this is a remake. This is starting over. This is the new version of something. And now they use it all the time to tell audiences, because everyone knows reboot just means, oh, we're starting over. We're just going again. And it doesn't mean anything, because sometimes it's continuity, sometimes it's not. All it means is this brand is still out here, and you can continue to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's why Harry Potter is happening in the same way that it is, irrespective of whether or not it's a good idea. I don't personally think it is, for any number of reasons. But
is it the cursed child storyline, or like they're starting over again?
The plan is they're starting over. The thing that Warner Brothers has announced.
See that at all,
which,
bro. I'm a Harry Potter stan. I don't want to see that, bro.
Yeah, what they have announced is, and I personally think that this is. I think that they're bluffing. I think that this sounds like the kind of thing that if you're a studio that is out of money and wants to look like a strong studio, what they've announced is that they're going to start over with a new cast as a TV show and do one book a season as a TV series, and make this like make this Game of Thrones.
Because they did that with His Dark Materials, and it worked really well. Because I liked the Golden Compass, the movie, but like the show was amazing. But it's just like it throws my mind, because like the term reboot like kind of does have like a negative connotation. Like I understand like the Charlie's Angels reboot. Like all right, that came out in the early 2000s. It's just like, hey, let's just throw it back. Or like Mortal Kombat, like it was the 90s. Yeah, let's throw it back. The game never stopped. But it's just like when they reboot like very successful franchises, it throws me. I'm like, yo, yeah, this was great. Like this was great art that y'all compiled together. Why are we rebooting this? Like so soon? Like I feel like it should be like a minimum of 10 years before you're allowed to recreate something. Like this is not like a recreation at that point. Or spin it, even if like they presented it like, oh, here's like an alternative take. Like if it's like a different studio that takes on the properties, it's like, oh, this is our version of this. But to be like, hey, y'all remember this movie that came out 2 years ago? Yeah, we will do it again. I know y'all see the actors that are synonymous with these performances still around. Nope, starting over. Like Henry Cavill with Superman, like fumbled the bag. like I'm like, well, DC's a mess. So like we could die. That's a whole podcast. but it throws me. But I do want to circle back, because I've always wanted to get someone's take on like the whole reboot. Because it's like the wave of like 3D. Like the 3D craze is like the reboot craze. Because like you know what bugs me, and I know I'm stuck on it, because it's like getting into me. It kind of like what you were saying. Like they do it because they can, because they know that they can kind of like get one over on us. If y'all remember the show Lost, great show. I just actually rewatched it. If y'all remember, so Lost, the reason why we liked Lost was because like a lot of the show had to do with like little small things that they might have planned in maybe like even like a season ago, and it will come back up and turn out to be a bigger thing. The thing I hated about Lost, they would always remind you of that thing like the last time on Lost. But it was like from like 10 episodes ago, and I'm like, well, damn, now I know what you're about to do. Like, give us some credit. Like, we're smart people. Like, we could have easily been like, oh shit, Walt said that in season 1. Now it's in season 5 and it's relevant again. But they would be like, last time I lost, and show you a clip of that scene from like 3 years ago. It's like, wonder what this episode's going to be about now. Thank you for
after every episode. You got the Men in Black, the device that they hit. Like, all right,
and it, like Bob's explanation of like, oh yeah, like short term. And I guess we are in like that instant gratification era. It's these new kids with these short attention spans. It's they're affecting us. Gen X and Y, like we retain long term storytelling. Like you don't have to remind us of like the Easter eggs. We'll be like, oh snap, like this is great, because like it don't make. It takes away from the payoff for me. Like when you remind me of something that there's no way I forgot. Like I already knew, bro. Don't treat me like this. Like I get it. But
that's the thing is are they trying to tell you? They're not necessarily. It depends on what they're doing. Like I doubt that anyone. I'm sure they're going to get well paid. I don't think that anyone other than maybe J.K. Rowling is like super excited to run up and retell the Harry Potter books at Warner Brothers. But I do think Warner Brothers is very excited to sell people a slightly newer, different, not too different, but slight, because they don't want to rebuild all that stuff at the parks too much. But they would very much like everyone who already bought their wand and cape to buy another wand and cape. And that's the thing. They're not in
merch sales.
Yeah, and they're not. Call it what it is. The reason that branded IP and famous adaptations and remakes and retellings and live action adaptations, animated adaptations, et cetera, are the biggest things in the business right now. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It's not that I'm someone who's like, everything should be an original script all the time and whatnot. Whatever, fine. I'm wearing a Ghost and Goblin shirt. I'm surrounded by Mario merchandise in a room that's not my room because I'm recording in. No, those are not my Precious Moments figurines, believe it or not.
Hey, no judgment pass on
right.
A lot of my favorite movies and whatnot are licensed content and whatever, but they're in the business of selling you product. They're in the business of merchandise, even if the merchandise is just a new movie ticket. So they are going to sell you things that they know you want to buy, and what they know you want to buy is stuff you've already bought. They know this. So that's what they're going to do, and that's what a remake is did you like this? Would you like another one? And a sequel is actually a riskier prospect than just would you like this again? And short of taking away your ability to own media and only pay for it once. Oh, wait, they've also done that because physical media went away and now everything is rental forever, always. But short of that, they just make a new one. Okay, yeah, Harry, you liked Harry Potter. You liked Lord of the Rings. You liked Batman. You liked Superman. You liked Spider-Man. Okay, fine, but, that was a couple years ago. CGI's a little dodgy now. Wouldn't you like to see it again or try it again? And
if they try to remake Lord of the Rings, I will flip my shit.
I mean, they are going to. Warner Brothers they're going to make more Lord of the Rings. I'm don't know that they're going
Rings
to.
of Power, great show, probably one of the best shows I've ever watched. But like, leave the original, because my whole thing is like kind of with the Harry Potter reference again. It's like rebooting stuff that's still like in the lexicon. Like Harry Potter never went away. Like even like the original 8 movies, like it never left pop culture references. Like it's still like diehard fan base to this day. Like, and it's just like, we're still like, you know, especially like invested in like the actors, the movies. Like I watch Goblet of Fire probably like regularly, multiple times a year. And then when they like, they're on Peacock now, but you know, like when they put all 8 on HBO Max, it's like, it's never really been a situation where it disappeared. Like, and again, so it's just like, I don't, you know, I'm not part of the business team for, you know, Harry Potter, but especially with the park, I don't think that Harry Potter, as we know it, has ever not made money. It's like, it's always been a cash cow. Like
it's been making money. It's the issue with that seems to be right now that, I mean, like the elephant in the room is that the actors from the original movies, who they would want to come back to at least do the one more, are not coming back until J.K. Rowling is not part of the brand. And Warner Brothers cannot make her leave the brand.
Business, and, damn it.
and that's what comes back on it, is that Daniel Radcliffe and the other actors actually have careers in front of them. And or at least they seem to. I mean, I know Daniel Radcliffe does, and you know, the others are definitely coming back around still. And they are not going to basically set the rest of their reputations on fire while J.K. Rowling is doing that to hers. And Warner Brothers can't make her leave because she didn't take the George Lucas money. So they're stuck with her. And like they tried supposedly to get Cursed Child off the ground and say, okay, look, everybody come back, take some money, and we'll just do this out. And it didn't happen, so they're doing this TV show. Because the 3 prequels didn't work out.
Yeah, not too well. The first Fantastic Beast wasn't the worst. I'm not too mad. The second 2, The Secrets of Dumbledore was trash. He was terrible.
I didn't love the first one, but at least it was just like, to me, a regular bad movie.
Regular bad movie.
I can watch Eddie Redmayne, an actor whose appeal I fail to recognize, play wizard Pokemon in this Harry Potter. Well, fine, whatever. It's a thing. Yeah. I liked the Baker guy. He was cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was great. That actor's great. But Dan Fogler. But then the next one was. Sometimes I watch the 10 minutes of people explaining the backstory of the movie to each other in a mausoleum just because it's funny. And that shouldn't be funny. There's a lot of dark stuff in that scene. And instead, it's just the most unintentionally hilarious stuff because it's that bad. And then the movie's over.
Yeah, and no disrespect to, the other houses, but like outside of Cedric Diggory, no one cares about Hufflepuff. No one cares about Hufflepuff, bro. They're the redheaded stepchild of the school. Like, you want to make a whole movie about a Hufflepuff? Okay, Newt's cool and all, but no one cares.
I understand they kind of lured themselves into a corner, but I don't know that. Preventing Johnny Depp from preventing World War II is necessarily the storyline that you want to hang your movies on. Somehow, I think you could have found another series of films to make.
Yeah, there's so much that they could have went with. There's so much. Well, Bob, we definitely want to get into some fun questions, but I do just want to kind of circle back since we were on like the business side of it. And we talked about, getting paid, and especially you, wanting to like give back to people who like you work for and with. So just in terms of, in our research, and getting to know you more, so we can have like a fun conversation. You do run in what we consider a quite successful YouTube channel.
I try.
You're succeeding, sir. Like, you're succeeding, and I know you're at the point where you do have a Patreon. Me and Trav have been doing this since like 2016. Right, Lenny Crab. That's what I did probably. Me and Trav have been doing this since like 2016 in different capacities, together, separately, together again, and we I would imagine that most creatives to the point like want to start to put stuff behind a paywall or explore like the idea of a Patreon. You business wise, like, when is the time to like roll that out? Like, or like, what is the process behind it? Or when did you know, like, hey, you know what? I have enough cachet here with the name moviebob that people will pay for my content.
Unfortunately for me, it was the time was panic desperation.
He said I had to pay rent.
The time to do it was because the things fell apart at the Escapist the first time in the midst of the Gamergate nonsense, which was just a terrible moment in time for the whole gaming side of the business. Into when that was all just going to hell. Fortunately, nothing else bad came of the alt-right online again. Mm-hmm. It's not like one of them got to be president. So it all worked out great.
America, am I right?
But as that all kind of collapsed in on itself, this was right around the time. I got a Patreon the same time I got a blue check on Twitter.
Okay.
And it was for the same reasons
before Elon took over.
I'm about to say, we can get that blue check today if we want to spend that money.
Back when that was
like, I earned my blue check.
He said, I got it the real way.
I didn't spend $8, but I did lose a job.
The cost of chasing a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the job at that site went away because, and this is several, and I need to be clear because when I'm talking about that website, this is several owners of the domain that owned the IP address at which that site used to reside there. So if I speak of The Escapist, the people running that website now have nothing to do with anything that I'm describing right now. So this is not disparagement of anyone working there now. The people working there now are good people. Me not working there right now with them is a decision of being an independent creator of my own. People working there, Jack Packard, Yatsy Crochet, good people, very good people. And I could very clear about that. This is not like I'm not required to say that. It's just because I don't always go into this business of what happened there because, sound bites get around and I don't want it to, say like, oh, these guys, well, I heard they're terrible people. No, the 3 or 4 versions ago of this worked out badly. There were some not great people in charge of a website at one point who made bad decisions that got a lot of people a lot of flack on purpose, sometimes from other not great people in a moment when journalists needed their site owners and people who should have had their backs to have their backs, and they didn't. And in the midst of that, I was suddenly without a regular employer as a film writer and a video producer, so I went independent. And in the midst of that, when people were saying, hey, this is unfair, this is unjust, what can happen, I threw a Patreon together. And I said, hey, I might not have a regular paycheck coming in for a while. Google AdSense still hasn't worked out great. So here's this. If anyone would like to basically throw $1 in the hat, at this point, like I said, I come from an era where just putting a thing online and saying, please put $1 here. I feel like Russell Crowe in what's the boxing Cinderella Man? When he, this might be a movie that's old enough that people haven't seen it anymore. But when he goes, goes into the bar and he says like, my wife has taken the kids. If I don't get them back, they're going to go to their sons and to her uncles. And I just needed their help. And he takes off his little pork pie hat and he gives out, and everyone's like, "Oh God, Russell Crowe, no! Oh, he's asking us to lend him money.
Oh, me son.
Oh, it's the saddest thing we've ever seen." And he goes, "Please," and he says, and there's putting the bills in. It's the saddest thing because he's asking for money instead of working. Like, that's honestly how it felt. And now, I've grown up a little bit. I'm on the border between Gen X and Millennial. My Gen X side is like, oh my God, I'm asking people to give me money and I'm not necessarily giving them anything. I'm not even playing a song on the subway in return. And my Millennial side is saying, no, here's the hat. The world sucks. We all need money. Please put a quarter in. I know you've got the quarter. Put the quarter in. I put the quarter in when I see you. Give a penny, take a penny.
It's like it's expensive to live out here.
Yeah, it is. So, I don't have tips, unfortunately, for putting up for when to put up a Patreon, or when to do kind of fundraising, other than do it.
Do it.
Other than do it.
Put the head out there. See what happens. I'm rolling.
Here's the thing: if you think what you've got is worth it, put it out there, because the worst people can do is not give,
just say no.
Or is not do it, because you might as well. And I think that the mistaken mindset that a lot of my generation absorbed from the world and business in general coming up is that we have to wait for higher powers or established systems to tell us when what we do and what you create is worth even asking to be paid for.
I love that. I actually really love that, because me and Trav have talked about particularly in podcasting, but just kind of content creating in general. There's this real large group of people who attempt to do it the opposite way and garner no success and can't figure it out. They'll be like, oh, I don't want to churn out all this content pre the deal. It's because then I'm just doing it for no reason. I want to wait till I get the cosign, then I'll start grinding. It's it don't work like that, bro. You just need to grind, put the content out there. Because me and Trav always say when manifesting, when we get to that point, 'cause I feel like we're there, we're at the precipice. When we get to the point that someone is willing to take a chance on us, they don't have to look at it and be like, all right, these guys got lucky one time. No, we got a whole catalog full of knocking shit out the park. And it's just oh, this is a safe investment, versus people who just want to throw a couple things out there and wait. And they'd be like, oh, I would hate to put in 10 years and have nothing. No, that's your resume, bro.
Yeah, you don't apply to a job and be like, yo, if you get me in the building, then
you'll see how hard I work.
just trust me.
I promise you, I work hard.
I've never seen my permanent record. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's an expression people use anymore for anything.
I like it. I don't know what it means, but I like it.
When I was coming up through school, when I was coming, people always say, this is going on your permanent record.
Oh, facts.
This is going. I've never
that's
seen
a very good point.
I've never seen my permanent record.
What is?
He said demerit.
and the thing is, now there actually is a permanent record, and you establish it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen my permanent record, but I know that everything I've said online since 1998 is permanent. But it hasn't kicked my ass. Now, granted, I'm an old white man, so if it did, it's not going to kick my ass the same way it's going to kick literally everyone on the unfair American social strata.
He said tad bit of plot protection there, just a little bit.
If plot armor exists in the real world, I was born with all of it.
There you go.
So, but
that movie in America is still going.
Yeah.
We'll get to it one day. Waiting for that reboot. America Part Duh. We waiting on it.
I think that, the worst that can happen is you put something out and you say, hey, I think this is worth X, and someone else says, no, it's not. and then you adjust
on to the next person.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, I've never this imagined scenario that I think a lot of people come in with is where it's like, oh, you drag them in. By the time you, I'm trying not to use a grotesque metaphor, but
please, this is an not suitable for work podcast. We put the advisory at the beginning.
I think that people, they have this like, well, who's going to buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Kind of like a view of artists, and I've never heard that be. Well, first off, that's a bullshit metaphor anyway. But
milk ain't free.
But I've never seen someone make it who has a giant backlog that they've been hustling for forever, and maybe some of it's good, maybe some of it's bad, and then that matter against them, it's like Peter Jackson, when he finally, like, a lot of the world thinks of Peter Jackson as a guy who showed up for Lord of the Rings as, well, I guess we kind of knew he had movies, but like that's the thing that established him, and that was enough, and he can ride that for forever. I knew Peter Jackson. For me, that was like the culmination of a guy whose career I've been following since he showed up, because I was watching as a teenager and a college kid his low-budget horror movies and his horror comedies and all his, watching the Dead Alive and the Frighteners and Heavenly Creatures and Meet the Feebles and all of this, these grotesque New Zealand schlock movies he was making. So when I heard it's like, this guy's going to do Lord of the Rings, fuck, that's going to be nuts. That was almost as ridiculous as Sam Raimi getting hired to make Spider-Man. That's not going to happen. And then it's, well, holy shit, what do you know? Like, that doesn't count against him. He made a lesbian serial killer movie with Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky. That didn't count against him. It hasn't counted against either of them. It worked out. So, make your stuff and put it out and show it to people and ask to get paid. Try to sell it. This thing where it's like, no, I'm just starting out, so I don't deserve to ask for money. I'm just going to give it away. Yeah, I put stuff on YouTube for free, but there's AdSense ads on it because I need to eat food and I need to drink water. I've got people in my family that I try to, if not support, buy some Christmas presents for. I have people in, my social circles who are doing less well off than me that are trying to raise families on, the kind of stuff that I do. Get paid. Find a way to do it. And, if people don't think you're worth it, who the hell are they?
That.
And it's kind of like, how are the people that are viewing you going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? So,
exactly, yes. Exactly. Because that's the other thing. If you don't believe you're worth it, people are going to pick up on it.
Yeah.
It always shines through. And if the audience doesn't pick up on it, people who can exploit you will pick up on it. And that's the one drop of blood in the water that tells you, like, oh, this guy, there's nothing that bad actors in management and in creation and aggregates of sites like this can detect more than creators, artists, writers, singers, musicians, whatever, who know they're good but don't think they deserve to make it yet. And we'll say, oh, he's good, but he doesn't think he deserves to get paid yet. Okay, well, gee, that's smooth. You can see him like that, and it's like it makes me. It's one of the reasons that I don't necessarily enjoy being behind the scenes on a lot of stuff, because you run into people like that, and I don't like seeing it, and you can't help everybody, and it's sad because you run into situations where you see people and it's like, oh God, I can see
life like, kicked your ass.
I can see not just life kicked your ass, but I can sometimes see the net. Like, what's the? Oh, it's a cheesy movie with the school movie where Morgan Freeman's a principal.
Oh, Lean on Me.
Yeah. Yes. When he like tells kid, he's like, you'll be dead in a year. It's like sometimes it's not dead in the air, but like sometimes I run into people starting out like, yeah, I'm checking out my channel and I just hitched up with so and so productions or whatnot, and I'm like, I want to say it. But
I wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Good luck. I'm not. I'm going to drop out, and I'm just going to run this channel with person. And it's like, you'll be dead in a year, son.
Bob, like we love having like people like yourself who like we can tell that obviously you're super knowledgeable. Like you've just dropped so many gems that I feel like are going to be very beneficial to a lot of people. But we also can tell like that, you know, you're passionate about this. And I feel like that's like a perfect combination of like a guest to have on. Cause it's like you want to talk about it, but then also you can talk about it. Like if that that was a bar, I'm about to write that down. But Bob, we want to hit you with some rapid fire fun questions because you know when we had our pre-call, we had a lot of fun laughs. So we want to know, show them the fun side of moviebob. All right, Bob. So what's the worst movie you've ever reviewed?
I think the worst review I ever have given was probably for Pixels, which is I wish I had a more interesting answer because like that's the one that's known that I gave a very negative review for and it kind of went viral on it. But I was very angry on that movie. But
wasn't the best.
I'd say the worst. I think the worst that I ever might have reviewed might still be the second of the Transformers movies in terms of like a big movie.
I shit on that movie so much.
You know it's huge for it to be as bad as it is.
Was that Revenge of the Fallen? That movie was terrible.
I was mad leaving the theater, man.
Yo, in the like when you like I feel like it's funny because I feel like everyone who saw that movie, like, you know, like nerddom who saw that, we all had like a similar experience. We're like 10 minutes in, it's like, is it just me or does this movie suck? Like, it's just like, no, this can't be. Like, it'll get better. And then it gets worse and worse. And then the part where John Turturro is like, I am under the robot's scrotum. I was like, yo, I'm done, bro. Yeah. I'm done.
That's where you take a bathroom break or maybe just leave right on the scene.
I will say the part where Shia LaBeouf was like kind of like tweaking after he kind of like got zapped. He was like kitten counter. Like that part was hilarious. But yeah, that movie was so bad. It's funny, like I've never met anyone that had like a good thing to say about that film.
I've seen worse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've really seen worse. But because I mean, I've seen, especially working professionally, people will send you screeners for things that are like, you know, homemade movies. Like I even forget the title, like Fungicide, which is like a homemade movie that Riff Tracks has that they did. I don't know that it got released, but got out. And I love that Tubi is now a thing, so people can see like, you know, the absolute budget movies that actually get sold. But like some of those are like, yes, are they worse than Revenge of the Fallen? Yeah. But they didn't cost $200 million and get released to theaters with like they should have a basic level of competency. Because I guarantee you, I'm working right now on trying to get some stuff made and like get independent films made with that because that's what I actually want to do. I guarantee you, I will probably at some point make something at least as bad as Revenge of the Fallen or whatnot. But mine will probably cost as much as, you know, Shia LaBeouf's catering cost on that movie, and hopefully it'll
craft these them craft services. Yeah. All right, Bob. So this is it's a 2-part question, but if it's the same answer, that's totally fine. The best movie you've ever reviewed, and or your favorite movie of all time.
RoboCop.
Favorite movie of all time is RoboCop.
Favorite movie of all time is RoboCop. Favorite movie that I've reviewed because RoboCop came out when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. Which is partially why I recognize best movie ever made. I don't know. It's in my top 10 of like legitimately great film. But seeing RoboCop as a young kid because it's called RoboCop. So even if you're 9 years old, you know, it's like, and
I like robots. I like police.
Yeah, it's like RoboCop. He looks like an action figure, but then you see it, and that movie is full of like, oh wow, I'm not supposed to be seeing this. That's a titty. That's a lot of titty. That man's head just came off.
Yeah, this is intense.
Wow. Oh, wow. I'm not supposed to be seeing this, and it's great. Thanks, Dad.
But I'm going to keep watching.
Yeah, the game that's coming out, that game looks wild.
Yeah. I think they might have missed the point of the movie but I'll allow it.
1,000%. I'm not in there for movie accuracy. I just want to blow people. I just want to blow shit up.
I'm on it. I'm trying to think my favorite review that I did. I don't know, because I enjoyed the Pixels review when I did it, because it was fun to have to just kind of release on that. Mm-hmm. But like the fame that gained was not really what it's not what I wanted to be known for, if that makes sense. Because I still get a lot of people saying, it's like, oh man, I love that because I hate Adam Sandler. I don't hate Adam Sandler. By all accounts, he's a decent guy, and I like most of the movies.
Sandman.
And he shoots a lot of stuff around here, puts a lot of money back into the local film industry, and by all accounts treats people who work with him well, and helps people out on the way up. So a lot of people whose movies are better are shittier people. Roman Polanski has made great movies. He's a rapist and he should be in jail.
Right.
So, people still tied up in his basement.
Yeah.
That was dark.
I mean, not to bring it down, but it's.
No, I'm here with you.
Being a great artist is not everything. That's something I probably should have said earlier as well. Is another addition to the things to do is remember who's nice to you, because some of the work that I have now is owed to people who I met on the way up, who have moved up ahead of me and remembered it. And that it doesn't always work out, but when it does, it's good. And I try to take care of people that come up behind me as well. Doesn't always work out, but we're all in this together, or we're supposed to be.
Fact, though.
Don't mean to be maudlin about it, but if I believe anything, I believe that.
I love it. All right, Bob, because me and Trav, we do like manga chapter reviews and stuff, and shout outs to Fandom Spotlight. I've done a couple reviews for them in live panel formats, as well as reviews not anywhere close as your level, sir. You are a master at your craft. But question for you: what is the secret to a good review in your opinion? What's the balance that you find between a plot, breaking down the plot without being spoilery, but also inputting how you feel about the movie? How much is it your personal feelings versus explaining the movie?
Honesty. You got to be honest about how you're feeling, and you got to tell the story. The review is depending on format, because you don't always get to choose the way that you're going to write a review, especially if you're working other than for yourself. Some places have a style guide, some places have a format. The format I work in now kind of grows out of a mix of my own style and where I was, and I've been recently going back over a lot of my old material to see how things were done. The worst kind of video reviews, and I know because I've recorded a lot in this style at the beginning, is when it's something that you wrote down that's just a list of thoughts and then you string them together. The best thing that you can do is basically try to tell people what you thought of the movie and also what it's about as one thing. Because there a lot of reviews that kind of read very generic and boring to read sort of have the three section breakdown of, here's an intro of, this new movie is blah, 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 blah. It stars blah, 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 blah. Then one paragraph description of plot, and now here's what I thought. Which is fine, that's the general newspaper boilerplate version of what they want. Hey, I just watched this an hour ago at the theater, and now it needs to be in printing. It should if you need to make that, fine way to do it, but you're not necessarily going to get your personality across. You're not going to sell yourself as a writer and have people say, hey, that guy is, in addition to telling me whether or not this product was good, this vacuum cleaner sucked in the right way. You're not going to tell people that you yourself are worth reading beyond whether or not you're interested in the movie. Roger Ebert was Roger Ebert because people wanted to hear what he said regardless of what the movie was. People found out about movies because they wanted to read Roger Ebert, not the other way around eventually. And that's ideally what you want if you want to be known as a critic reviewer or whatever. So the best thing you can do is you want to be the person that people can't wait to ask, not just what did you think of this, but what did you see this weekend? What did you see? You have always seen the most interesting stuff, or you have the most interesting opinions about them. Absolutely. And if you're not excited or interested, make that the story. Some of the most fun reviews that to write turned out to be for things that not just that I didn't like, but that I didn't like because I was bored with, and that I just had to find a way to make that funny or interesting. It's just like, oh my God, Smurfs! Why am I writing a review of Smurfs? Do you care that there's a Smurfs movie? And then people got mad because they did care that there was a. I didn't. Yeah, some people are. Andre, who runs Black Nerd Comedy, loves Smurfs, and so no disrespect. Nice guy. I don't know. I've met him and seen him in like a few. But he was another guy coming up that I knew was going to be big, and now he's on like Disney Plus, he has a couple spots on there. And I remember thinking, because when those movies were coming out, we got
to reach out to him, Trav.
At Screw Attack Gaming Convention, way at the beginning coming in, and I remember making a reference to it. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to have to see a Smurfs movie. And like 3 people at the table went, well, why wouldn't you want to see a Smurfs movie? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I spoke out of turn.
Excuse me.
No disrespect, guys. No disrespect.
Absolutely.
But so.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, got one more question, but I do want to just point out, because we got so deep into movies that, you cover gaming too. So we 1000% have to do a part 2 for video game Bob. we gotta bring you back in so we can cover over all that. But last question, Bob, and it's probably our favorite question that we like to ask here on our podcast when we have, people who are passionate about a particular medium, but they also do it professionally. Are you able to turn off your critic brain and watch movies for fun? Or is it just all business and analytics for you now?
I don't know that I can turn off the critic brain. I do try to turn off the business brain.
Okay.
Because the critic brain ideally is still part of the enjoying brain. Because if I'm not enjoying, why am I doing critic stuff in the first place? Because the critic part is just reporting on whether or not I enjoyed something in a more professional way. What I do try to do is, and this is difficult because it's also, you can't really divorce yourself from the entertainment reporting part, the news cycle, is to leave the bullshit behind about it, is to leave this is what's happening with the production, this is what the fandom is about, this is what all of this swirl of nonsense is about going on around it, which is tough because people make it tough now. It's tough to walk into any of the Marvel stuff now, for example, and it used to be just, it's like, okay, watch this, this is tough because watch this and try not to think about whether or not it's going to tell me anything about the Infinity Gauntlet, and just watch this as a movie. Now it's, forget the multiverse, I'm going and think, I'm trying to watch Ant-Man and not think about whether or not, people are going to get mad online about stuff. Watching Ant-Man, and, the most recent Ant-Man, there's like a gag about the ants when Michael Douglas turns around and he says, the ants have created themselves a technocratic utopia down
here.
They
live for millions of years.
It's a loaded term. And it's a funny line, and it's great, and it plays very well into the themes of the movie, better than a lot of the other things play into the themes. I thought the movie was fine.
I was fine with it.
But it's a good line, and it plays into the community versus fascist dictatorships versions of the movie. And I thought, oh man, that was really funny, and immediately boinked myself out of the movie because the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, there's going to be like a dozen thumbnails all over fucking YouTube about ant communism with these douchebags, like off in the corner with a picture of like Michael Douglas with a Che Guevara hat and going, and like, because that's where my brain goes. I don't get to enjoy the Marvels trailer because all I can think of is, oh, that's going to be the thumbnail. That's going to be where these douchebags are going to yell about Brie Larson. And sure enough, that's where it is. And it sucks. I don't get to enjoy or have any thoughts about a new Star Wars with Daisy Ridley, because all I can think of, because my first thought isn't, hey, my first thought should be, oh, good, this young actress gets another shot at this thing that kind of got screwed over for her by
Rey was not what was wrong with the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
I disagree with making her not a Kenobi, but that's just me. Yeah. But she wasn't what was wrong with the sequel trilogy.
I'm glad she's coming back.
Yeah, I'm super happy.
My thought should be in order. If I have a stupid nerd thought about Daisy Ridley coming back in Star Wars, it should be about how's she going to rebuild the Jedi Order, or how is this going to fit into stupid continuity. It shouldn't be about her. It should be about her battle with the Sith Lords, not the shit lords.
Bars. Put some air horns in there, Mike.
The guys in affliction t-shirts that are going to be mad about it.
We like to call those people the well actuallys. Well, actually.
Yeah, right. I shouldn't be worried about whether or not it's going to be canceled or blown up because of these dorks on and I am a dork on YouTube. But I shouldn't be worried about whether or not. Oh God, I'm going to hear about a new Star Wars movie on the presidential campaign. That's going to be the next. It's going to get that bad. It's going to get
Rey
that bad.
Can rebuild the Jedi Order. I can fix America.
I asked, the fingers on the monkey's paw curl in. We asked to run the world, and this is what we got.
What a full circle moment. America waiting for that reboot. But
Bob, before we let you get out of here, we do have to get your opinion on 4DX movies. What are your thoughts on seeing a film in 4DX, and are there certain types of, because we the only type of movies so far we've seen movies in 4DX are anime movies. And
I saw Batman in 4DX, and he beat me up, bro. I was getting torn up.
You know what?
I was getting torn up in that.
Scratch that. I did see the last Fast and the Furious movie in 4DX just for shits and giggles, and
were you all
just back all fucked up, all right.
I enjoy it. It was fun.
I had fun. I have only seen a few like that. I think I saw Avatar in 4DX.
Oh, I did too.
The new Avatar. I've seen that, and that was that was a trip. That was a trip, and that was long in that too. So I had the full
that was a long 4DX
and all that. And but I was skeptical. I got to say, I was skeptical of Avatar 2, and I was like, you're not going to get me, James Cameron. I'm going to be cynical.
No, I loved that movie.
I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be bitter, and I'm going to point out that this is generic and this is all just Dances with Wolves. And then a minute in, I'm like, oh, whale stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
man.
Well, not a minute in, because it takes a while for the whale stuff to get there. But I'm like, yeah, save those whales. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Reduce plastic use. Save the ocean.
And I walked out of the theater, and then I was like, the son of a bitch got me again. Damn it.
Yeah, you did.
Why do I give a shit?
Yeah, you did.
So I think 4DX great. I'm I like ballyhoo stuff. It's cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I came in too late for the era of William Castle putting buzzers under the seats to make people jump up. It's an old reference. There was there was a movie called The Tingler with Vincent Price, where they would. It's about a bug creature that grabs you and the only way to make it not grab you is if you scream. And it's that's the movie. It's a centipede that grabs you, and the guys in the movie keep telling you, and they look right at the camera like breaking the fourth wall. The only way to beat the Tingler is to scream very, very loud. And then at one point, this is a black and white 50s movie. The film, quote unquote, breaks, and they cut the lights in theaters when they would show this, and they would say, "The Tingler is loose in the theater," because this is in an operating theater in the movie. If you fear it, if you feel the tingler, scream very loud. It's the only way to save yourself. And like 5 or 6 seats randomly in the theater would have giant like joy buzzer motors put underneath them that would underneath you to shake the seats in like a lawnmower going off under your seat, because 50s, so very unsafe. And they would do this all around the country, and it would like make people jump up. So the idea would be to make people jump, like, because if you feel the tingler, you have to scream to save yourself. And this was a huge hit back then. The movie is garbage because you're just waiting for this part of it.
People was going for the seats.
No,
Gotta talk about the tingler though.
The same guy did the original 13 Ghosts, where you had to put on your 3D glasses not to see the 3D.
That's a great movie.
But to see the actual ghosts. You could only see them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was
Damn, I didn't see that in the movie theater. That'd have been crazy.
Yeah. That was the new one was different. It was just like a 3D movie like that, but it was a remake of a 50s movie.
Oh, you're not talking about the Tony Shalhoub one?
No. That was the remake of that.
Oh, okay.
It was there was like a 3-run thing. It was that House on Haunted Hill and another one were all remakes of this guy William Castle's movies from the 50s that were like gimmick movies where they would show a movie and there'd be like a gag in them. Like Buzz in the Seats, or you can only see the ghost in 3D, or House on Haunted Hill, the original, the 50s one. They would like drop a skeleton on a string from the roof of the theater into the audience and booga 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 booga, like cheesy, but it's a 50s. It worked, or they shoot like smoke out at the audience or something. So the 4DX thing is just high tech version of that.
Gotcha.
Smell-o-vision used to be a thing, so be glad that they're not doing that to you.
Gotcha.
That was a real thing.
Could you imagine like going to see the Tingler and like you keep not getting the seat that buzzed, and that's what you wanted to go, and like you see it like 5-6 times, and you're just like, what the fuck?
It's wild. It's wild.
Like one of these days, like I'm gonna get it. That's hilarious, Bob. But before we let you get out of here, if you have anything coming up, anything you want to promote, tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on.
Well, you can find my YouTube channel at YouTube /moviebob or YouTube moviebob central. Either one basically works. You can search moviebob on YouTube. You can find my website, personal website at moviebobcentral.com. And I don't have a specific project to announce just yet, but the big picture is on there. Game Overthinker's on there. My reviews are on there. Look for that. And I'm also a freelancer at writing scripts sometimes for film theory, game theory, food theory, and style theory. Good stuff there. Want to shout it out? Check it out. And, I've had a great time here. So thank you so much for having me on. This has been great, guys. Thank you so much.
We say all the time that once you come on the Dragon Ball for Life podcast, you are a forever return guest. So we definitely going to do a part 2 and just keep it video game centric, because I definitely want to get your takes on a lot of the video game world, especially like what we got coming up in this kind of like this video game renaissance that we're kind of in right now. So I definitely want to get that on there. But we're going to put all your information in the link below for our fans, the lifers, so they can follow you. Support Movie Bob. He is killing the movie reviewing game right here. That's why we bring these people on, because we want to give everybody their flowers, expose them so they can keep doing bigger, better, and dope shit. But, I have been Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Matty Ice, with my counterpart Troto Trav. Like we always say here on the Dragon Ball for Life podcast, whether you watch it or you read it, we all need it. So open up your nerd eye, and we will see you next time on Dragon Ball for Life. Dodon Ray. And shout outs to super producer Mikey and Yali. All out.
This is Chuck Huber, the voice of Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Dragon Ball for Life!
Of the Darkness Flame.